Hi. I'm going to be doing an explanation of myself, how I got to where I am right now. This is in the recent history, the recent months. So, well, within myself, I've been really successful in standing and facing my delusions, you could say. And so, for me, I had for a long time been struggling with myself and trying to find out how to free myself from my own chains. So it was only recently that it took steps to get where I am right now. And the first step I took was writing. That's the first major step. Actually, I made a mistake. That's one of the steps. Writing was one of the steps. So let me just show you one of the steps I took first, before I enter into another one which happened earlier than that. Okay. So here, basically within a matter of days, I came up with all this writing. First, I started writing just to help me get started within writing. Just to write whatever. Here I even drew a picture and just, try to express whatever I had to express in that moment. And eventually I started writing just my immediate surrounding, my physical experience. And I drew some drawings. Here I was analyzing words, and so slowly but surely I started applying myself. Here I started getting further and further. This all happened in one day, most of this. So I just wanted to let you know that I even wrote about things such as I had a thought, colon. This was a thought. And then I wrote, there was an emotion, since emotion is negative, or emotion said a feeling, since it's negative, of anxiety, that says. There was an emotion of anxiety attached to this thought, and a feeling of excitement. I forgive myself for accepting, allowing myself to attach an emotion of anxiety and the feeling of excitement to the thought. You like her. No, I don't. So here I did all this. Like, for example, I was watching some of Anne's vids. I finished watching her Pokemon vid and saw a vid with that many views numbers. I thought, I clicked on it. I thought, this is how you get lots of views, because that shows how I was looking to get more views on my videos, and with my mind I was making that comparison instead of just acting within a self-honest approach of common sense. And so I did this, like anything I thought, I wrote it out, whatever it was in the moment, and it was either. And at times it seemed the only thing I did was write, which is what I did the whole entire day, which was writing, thinking, writing, thinking. But then slowly, surely, I saw a breach, I saw an opening where I could breathe, you could say. It wasn't that I was just staying there and breathing, no, it's more like I was able to really see the world I was in. And this was all like 12 hours, well, maybe like 8 hours. But of course I had things to do in the middle of that time. But my advice is to do something like this. If you have one day, even if it's, you know, just write out completely everything. Like if you have a thought, you can start with just this. You don't really know what to write, you just write you had something. Just write you had this thought that it just came to you. You start there. And then if it seems like if you should forgive something, you just do it. You just write out your forgiveness. If it doesn't seem like that, you just leave it. But within me, there's sort of a knowing, like an itching, like, okay, I know that there's something here deeper. I can investigate this deeper. And at times I would just sit there and just try to remember a thought that I knew I had, and I tried my best to remember that, and usually, more often than not, I remembered what thought it was. If I just spent enough time to remember what it was. And so I tried to leave no stone left unturned. And here's even a good example. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Oh wait, wrong one. Where I wrote something which occurred 15 minutes earlier, where I did within the moment, I remembered what it was. I was entering in the house after helping my mom with something. Here, this is what it was. Well, basically, I'll explain to you that my mom was vacuuming, and I started blaming her in my head for the noise, and then I actually was able to, in the moment, remember or realize I was doing that, so I placed that there so that I could remember it later. I put all my attention awareness on that thought and what was occurring in that moment, so then later I can go back and see what was happening. And so that's what I did. I was able to write this 15 minutes or so after this all happened. And to tell you the truth, I was someone who never wrote, even though the constant advice was given by Destiny and its members to write, always write. But I never did it, ever. And then one day I decided, okay, this is what I'm doing, I'm just going to go for it, which is what I did, and look what happened. I was able to go farther than I've ever gone before. It was just that simple. And this is where I further developed my self-honesty. This was one step in my self-honesty, was able to, like, if I knew that if I had a thought that I really couldn't face in a moment, I could always go back and write about it like this. I can always do this. So it's almost like a strength that, and that even today I wrote today, but it's not like I write every day. I write when if something's really difficult for me to face, which I cannot face in a moment. And I've had made mistakes where, but I usually come back and I'm able to find the point that I missed in another point, which is just the same point, it's just the appearance of it. Like today I was facing judgment of criticism towards myself and others, where I would criticize someone and I would, here wrote this, well, here I just wanted to show everyone how much writing this involved, between 1 and 2 or 3 days. Most of this was in 1 or 2 days. And then after I realized that strength, I knew I could always come back to this. So when I saw that it was relevant to come back to this, I would. And I'm able to face my thoughts in the moment now and really find out the core point of that thought. There's always some point which you're accepting, and that's allowing for that thought to exist. And my second step, which is actually an earlier step, I had already talked about it, it's masturbation. within that I've got an either further strength and self-honesty. I'll talk about that in more detail in another video. Just to show more example, I got up to get paper and pen. When I said, "What are you waiting for?" I was in a state of nothingness where I looked at the world and nothing moved me. Lol. So my experience changed when I got up. I remember seeing the wall of the dining room and seeing how everything is alive. I'm alive. And it all happened because I moved myself. This was a really important step. The point of moving myself, where this isn't fully developed yet, but it was later on, in a matter of it wasn't so in a recent time that I realized, thanks to Sinette in a blog post of hers, that the power of doing. And I did a video on this, but I never posted it online. But realize that here's an example of a power of doing, writing. And another example is masturbating, which is also a power of doing. Anything you do self-honesty will give you further self-honesty and further strengthen you and further establish you. Like, for example, I remember helping out my dad in his garden and helping him in his chores and his jobs, and helping my mom in the house around. All those things of doing and cleaning and chores, that made me stronger because I did that self-honesty immediately, went to do it, period. And so it further developed my self-honesty. And in writing philosophy, I don't know if you noticed, but I also have a few philosophy pieces here where I'm trying to write about this is my homework, you could basically say my practice for school. And so I even read philosophy papers just to get through it, but I did it wholeheartedly, self-honestly, so I further gained strength in another area which I had weakness in. So if it helps, you can look for points of weaknesses where you can actually do and live and act and do something about it. Okay, I'm gonna stop now because of time, but remember, or take from me an example of strength. Thanks.